Okay, we got another clean 911 996 variant. This is a 2002. As you guys already know, we only give you the most honest review possible. And I just want to talk a little bit about this car. It's a very, very clean vehicle. Gentleman that owns it takes very good care of it. And I would say it's probably one of the cleanest 996s that I know. And because I've owned over 12 of these variants, I can honestly give you the most accurate, most truthful Porsche mechanic review without any BS and biased information. Even though if you don't want to hear them or you want to hear them, you'll at least hear the reality. So the reality of this car is that it's very undervalued. I'm going to start off with the positive things. You can literally have a 911 for $20-something thousand. This was a $100,000 car back in its day. And what made this car get a very bad reputation was the Ims bearing. But really, the Ims bearing is not even the biggest issue. The biggest issue with these cars is far greater, I think, than the Ims. It really is. It's cylinder scoring and D-chunks and cylinder cracking is probably the biggest problem, followed by obviously the rod bearing issue that they have as well, due to being a integrated sump, wet sump system, and there's nothing fancy about it. You know, high G forces, you're going to have possible oil starvation. This is how those rod bearings fail, because what happens is guys will track these cars, and from high G forces you get oil splash, even though there's a little baffling involved that's supposed to not allow it to happen. It's not a dry sump system. It's an integrated dry sump, which doesn't mean much. So I wanted to kind of show you guys the value of this car. You know, looking at this car, it's in very good shape, despite of all the failures that it can potentially have. But what car doesn't have problems? Look at Ferrari. You know, here's one on the lift with 7,000 miles. It's got a bad actuator. That's a $30,000 repair. So, you know, what cars don't have issues? They all have problems. Got to pick your battle, guys. So I want to show you the interior. This one has 38,000 miles. This is actually the same car that was showcased recently in one of the YouTube channels. And pretty much this car here was shown to be one of the most cleanest 996s. We're actually the shop that maintains the car. There was another shop that was advertising this car as if it's one of their customers, which was pretty interesting, but we're actually the shop that does all the services. There we go, our top automotive sticker. But look at the inside. This is silver package right here in the center. This one has the upgraded sport package. It comes with the shifter, with the upgraded handbrake. It has the nice dark blue interior, and the only thing that's not upgraded is the dashboard, because they also had an option for leather steering wheel and leather dashboard and leather door panels. So as you can see, it's a pretty car. Let me show you guys the back of it. Very clean. So let's go back to why you would want to buy this car, or why you wouldn't want to buy this car. Okay, first of all, as a Porsche owner, and if you're not a mechanic, and if you have a good mechanic, that's probably a plus when you do buy the car. But there's going to be a lot of maintenance that's involved. First off, you want to replace everything on this car that's original. So because this is a 2002, actually 20 years old just about. So coils, spark plugs, all that stuff must go. Rear main seal, IMS, intermediate shaft bearing, RMS, and all the other components that are original. Oil separator valve, the internal oil sump defoamers need to be pinned, and cylinders need to be checked for cylinder scoring. There's a problem with also the injectors due to ethanol. The spindles will wear, the internals of the injectors will wear, and they'll start to leak slightly, something you won't notice right away, but eventually that will cause short life of your cylinders. So components like that need to be addressed, checked, and the bill can increase in price pretty significantly by doing those services. But it has to be expected. You have to be realistic. This is a supercar of its time. It's a 911. It's still a 911, and it's still a really nice car, and it's a high performance vehicle. So you're going to pay to play. You know, if you don't want to pay to play, then you buy a Boxster and you just neglect it. Like a lot of times we see the Boxsters always neglected because people buy them cheap and they don't want to maintain them. These cars have gone up in value now. They're about $25,000+ in clean condition. This one had the Ims bearing done by another shop. We didn't actually mess with the Ims on this one, but it sure had the regular retrofit bearing, non-solution bearing in here. And I don't like the regular ones versus the solutions because there's an interval on them, so you might as well put Ims solution, which is a bushing style. That way you don't have to worry about service interval in 5 years. It is a cheaper route if you're trying to sell the car and kind of get out of the vehicle quick. You know, you'll spend a couple thousand versus over $3,000 for the solution. But it's not the best for investment because there is a service interval. It's ball bearing design and it can still fail if you don't follow the service interval. And that's why LN Engineering tells you, hey, if you don't replace your bearing, it potentially can fail, you know, and they're not responsible. This is a generation facelift model, which is 996.2. They're just known as a 996, but it's really a .2 generation. They came out with a 3-chain engine in 2002. This was the first year. Vero came plus, and they went away from the 3.4, and they changed a couple other engine internals. So this M96 engine is very much the same engine as in the M97 from 2005 to 2008. The only difference is went to the single roll large bearing, which are less prone to failure. They can still fail. They have failed, but they're less likely to fail. As far as mechanical side of things, the biggest thing to worry about this car, like I mentioned, cylinder scoring. After you have completed all your maintenance items, water pump impellers can break. They're plastic. They should be done every 5 years. That's the interval. And then also low temperature thermostats are great because they keep the car cooler at a regular speed. Let's say on the highway, driving 70 miles an hour, your car will actually run 20 degrees cooler, which is really awesome. Keeps things a little bit cool inside. Let me open the trunk, show you how compact the engine is. If you guys are new to Porsches and don't know about them, this is going to be for one of those potential guys that's looking for a 911 to get into. We just replaced the expansion tank. This is another item you want to replace. This was yellow. We only use factory parts. We don't use any aftermarket because the aftermarket stuff is just junk. And it's a huge labor item. It's over 4 hours to do the labor on that. As you can see, everything on this car is mint. It's in very awesome condition. This car also has the Fisker mod, which customer did, which is going to be your modification on your mufflers. It gives it that growl Porsche Motorsports exhaust sound, which was the high performance exhaust that was an option from Porsche. So that's something you can do. But other than that, this is a super awesome car for the money. It's like no brainer. That's a lot of car for the money. This is why the car gets hot. You know, you got this fan, keeps things cooler in here. There's a engine cabin sensor that senses how much heat is possible, you know, pretty much generated in this engine, and then the fan kicks in. So the low temperature thermostat helps with that. Because the engine's in the back, there's really not a lot of access for airflow. You know, you do get some airflow access through the bottom, which makes its way across the oil sump. That helps out quite a bit, but sometimes you're in idling traffic, so that doesn't always happen. But I hope this video helps some of you guys looking for a 996 and potentially wanted to buy something really nice and not break the bank. If you're local in North Carolina, Charlotte area, we're a shop here that specializes in these cars. We're certified for the engines for the Porsches themselves, and we do quite a bit of these. We have a lot of different 911s. We build engines constantly. As you can see, there's a 997 turbo, over 1,000 horsepower engine that we're redoing, and there's one right here with the box on top of it. That's an M96 rod bearing failure engine that I just mentioned. So yeah, we do quite a few of them. There's actually a bumper from a 911 turbo. So we do a lot of different projects on these cars. Anyways, good luck with your purchase. I hope you get a good one. If you do decide to buy one, they're great cars. Just make sure you have extra money put aside, at least a good $10,000 in case you have to do everything from the beginning and get everything replaced, because you'll end up having items that weren't maintained or weren't replaced, like spark plugs. And of course you want to do the fluids too. If I didn't mention that, you'll want to do the gearbox oil. We run high performance gearbox oil in these transmissions, and if you have a 4-wheel drive, you want to do the front diff and also the transfer case. But this one is actually a 2-wheel drive, so it's trans case only. But other than that, it's an awesome car. If you guys enjoy this video, we'll make another one soon. Have a nice day.